A2theK. A2theK.
Hello, it's us. Anthony's off to the side somewhere, doing what he does.
It's me again.
So we are back. We are your hosts, Carl and Anthony, and as is tradition, let's kick off as we always do by throwing it over to Road Dogg for A2theK's little known fact of the week.
Oh, you didn't know?
Oh yeah. So,
yeah.
In today's unique segment, we're going to be covering 10 future world champions. We will give our thoughts on
In
who
our
we believe.
opinion.
In our opinion, man. It's our opinion, man. But we will give our thoughts on who we believe is going to be a world champion in the not too distant future. But Anthony, did you know someone who was meant to be a world champion, but plans changed at the last minute, was none other than Muhammad Hassan? So,
was this down to the controversy surrounding Muhammad Hassan?
Maybe. So obviously,
that sounded about like he did something. He didn't. He was just a victim of storytelling.
He was. But during his monumental heel rise in 2005, the plan was him winning a feud against The Undertaker, en route to becoming champion by beating Batista at SummerSlam. But the riskiness, as you said, of his gimmick became too much after a segment in which The Undertaker was attacked by 5 masked men. Unfortunately, aired the same day as the London bombings. So that meant pressure mounted a little bit too much for WWE, who instead nixed the idea at the last minute and wrote Hassan off WWE TV altogether. So, yeah, imagine.
It's a difficult one. That I always feel really bad for Hassan. Like, I think it was actually the right call storyline-wise for WWE, because they didn't want to sort of carry on with that sort of controversy, I suppose. But the fact that he ultimately never made it back is such a shame, because he was a talented guy. No,
honestly, he was. After he got released as well, he just kind of just ultimately left wrestling altogether. So, he definitely had great charisma and, a decent in-ring ability as well. So, a shame how it all played out. But, yeah, imagine a world where Muhammad Hassan was the world champion. How things may have changed. Maybe...
when you hear the names involved as well, and it sounds insane, doesn't it? Like, he's going to beat Batista and have a feud with The Undertaker. It's like, what?
Yeah.
But I mean, that's how white hot he was at the time, I suppose.
Well, exactly. But yeah, imagine a world where he was the champ. I wonder how that would have impacted things. Maybe a future what if episode, if you will. But yeah, that was A2theK's little known fact of the week. And
what if episodes? That's it's a really cool idea. We should do something like that.
Yeah.
What if we did something like that?
What if we did something like that again? Because we already have. Don't forget.
Everyone who's watching this,
YouTube.
All check out this card right here up there. Well, above Carl, right? And that'll take you.
So basically, you're going to cover my face with this, aren't you? I can just see it now.
No, it goes into the top corner. It won't cover your face, I promise. Okay. But look, there should have been a card at some point. I haven't decided at this point where I'm going to put it. So it's either now, or it might even be now. But there's going to be a card there that takes you to our first whatever episode. Okay, why not?
I like that. Maybe that's a new segment altogether. Why not? What if and why not? But until then, we'll throw you back over to Road Dogg, who'll sing you out from A2theK's little known fact of the week.
Oh, you didn't know?
Beautiful. So Anthony, we are talking this week in wrestling, and I believe you are going to take us through the first highlight for WWE this week.
Okay, so this is kind of a highlight, but it's not necessarily bad, but basically it was RK Bro versus the Street Profits, right? Which was really good until the DQ. So a very slight negative at the end there. But all in all, again, I think I've said this: the Street Profits, weirdly, I say weirdly, like it's not weird, but I was never really a big fan of them on SmackDown. But I think in recent years, I don't know if it's because they've had less spotlight, so I sort of get to enjoy them when they're around now. I don't know, but for whatever reason, I'm liking them more at the minute, and you can just see that how talented they are, and maybe it is working with people like this rather than just the same two heavy machinery guys over and over. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it helps when they're not in some weird thing with the Viking Raiders doing like basketball competitions every week.
Raiders. I went heavy machinery because I'm like, who were they feuding with? Because that's how memorable it was.
And that is the WWE Tag Team Division. But yeah, no, I think it was a great match. But yeah, I don't know what it is about WWE. They just can't make a fucking decision. Everything has to be a DQ or something. Just come on. I don't know why I'm going all Italian. But yeah,
Italian coming out there.
but yeah, so make a decision, guys. The next highlight to talk about for this week: Charlotte Flair versus Bianca
Some
Belair.
controversy around this as well.
Well, not this match, not really. But yeah, I think just stop. Yeah, good match. I thought. Shut up. Infinitely better than the match they had previously. I think last time we spoke about them two facing off on this show, I was quite disappointed. I think I expected more. I think this is what I expected.
It's funny you say that, because I was totally expecting this from you as a highlight because you are such a fan of mirror matches or parallels, and these two are both like strong women. Like they've been showcasing how much strength Bianca's got, and who better to parallel that than the likes of Charlotte or even Rhea when it comes to sort of size and strength. So I'm like, yeah, Carl's gonna be loving this, and lo and behold,
loving it. I was. This is the type of match that they should have put on last time, but it was just too choppy and too much of a mess. This is what I expected from them, and they delivered. So fair play to the pair of them. I thought it was great, except for another DQ ending because, yeah, you can't have a match end clean. Imagine someone taking a loss. What? Yeah. So other than that, though, it was good. Good up until then.
Good up until then.
So yeah, take us over to NXT, Anthony, for the next one.
Well, okay. So my next one, spoilers, NXT. Basically, I wasn't overly thrilled with the booking initially of this, but it proved to be quite good, and that is the end tag match, which saw Tommaso and Bron Breakker teaming together. And I was a bit like, I don't know, because they were going to go for this, or in my mind, they were going to go for this hokey, like, they're going to have to get along. And they kind of did go in that direction. But I think the match, and bear in mind, this is one of the few times we've actually seen Bron in the ring. And I think I expressed to you a couple of weeks ago, Carl, that I really hope he can live up to the hype because he seems to be massively hyped and no one's really seen a lot of him yet. And that did worry me. But this, to be honest, is the first indicator for me personally that I'm like, this guy might actually be able to live up to the hype. It was a good match overall, but like that, don't be wrong, it's not like we got to see tons of him, but the what we got to see, it might be that he is the machine that we're all expecting him to be.
The machine? It's not Brian Cage.
No, like the merch machine.
Okay.
That's what WWE are after these days.
The breaker of chains. The Bron breaker of chains. Yeah, to be fair, I thought it was all right. They are doing a decent job of making a star out of a, relatively green, rookie in the business. But obviously, it comes from a fantastic pedigree. Obviously, the son of Rick Steiner, and obviously, Scott Steiner is his uncle as well. So, a lot.
We're not allowed to mention Scott. It's a WWE rule.
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah. Well, basically, holla if you hear me. He's got a cool uncle.
I mean, he could be a bit of a genetic freak. You just don't know.
Yeah, maybe. But no, I agree. That was a highlight for me, and also I think it was it set up them to eventually squaring off with each other as well at Halloween Havoc in a pretty good way, I thought. So highlight from me as well.
Right.
And the last highlight for WWE this week was just the entire fucking opening 20-30 minutes of SmackDown. This is what WWE can be. This is what it should be. This was awesome. I was fully captivated and, completely loving life watching SmackDown for, the first 20-30 minutes of the show.
And you sort of looked at yourself like, what have I become?
Well, no, because, the following rest of, the hour and 20 minutes or whatever after this was absolutely shite. So, I knew that I hadn't, gone crazy. But it was so good, wasn't it? It was so fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Crown Jewel happened. Roman won. There was the stuff with Heyman and stuff like that. It's still going. It's still really compelling. Why did he put it in between the pair of them? Why didn't he just hand it to him? Even Roman was fantastic, saying, "Look, that wasn't so hard, was it? Being able to just pass me the fucking belt." Like,
I love that we're not done with it, to be honest. I
Yeah.
thoroughly enjoyed, I maybe even didn't express it enough in the reactions video, but I thoroughly enjoyed the match between the two of them. This is the best of Brock. I think we did mention it at the time, when like the fact he was mocking Roman's moveset and stuff. Just brilliant sort of work from Brock, and he knows what he's doing. He is. They're both really good, but I don't know. There's something in this feud that I really like, and I'm glad we're continuing it.
Yeah, me too. You know, it doesn't feel stale yet. I feel like there's a lot more to be uncovered, a lot more to do. So, yeah, looking forward to seeing where it all ends up.
Indeed. That was the last one, wasn't it?
That was the last one for the highlights.
Oh.
Oh.
So, okay. Let's talk some more shites then. I'll keep this one brief, Carl. And I was actually tempted maybe not to, but I'm going to call it an O'Shites because of the reason. So, and this is Mustafa Ali and Mansoor. Their stuff at the moment just feels incredibly forced, and I kind of didn't want to, because honestly I was like, okay, so at least they're not trying to make it just a crown jewel thing, you know.
Yeah.
But it just, I think the turnaround on this has been way too quick for me. I'm not against these two being in a feud, but the fact that they suddenly fell out and sort of built into a feud, like a week before Crown Jewel, and now we're meant to sort of, I say that's probably half the feeling as to why it feels so forced, because it's like we're meant to just buy that now. And Ali's looking ridiculous. He falls out with literally everyone around him.
I know he falls out with everyone and fucking ends up losing every match he's in, you know, whenever he does as well. But
He's like the shittest kickoff merchant ever, isn't he?
I know. Like, to your point though,
and then he just gets beaten up. It's like, okay, cool.
to your point, like, you know, I think we spoke about this ahead of Crown Jewel going, they've literally set this up just for Crown Jewel. So on the one hand, you know, at least they're carrying it on post Crown Jewel, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, if it's too quick, too forced, and just a bit out of nowhere, and you know, Ali just continues to lose them. So, well, exactly, yeah. Just
is there a real reason here?
No, there's no real reasons for anything. So yeah, I agree. Not the best. Speaking of things that are pointless, so Finn Balor took on Mace this week.
Sure. Okay.
For some reason. Now I don't want to be that guy, because sometimes who's that guy? You know, sometimes it's fine for two wrestlers to just have a match, be booked in a match and fight each other. Cool, of course it is. But when you have the likes of, you know, other matches that didn't get a lot of time, so like Shayna Baszler and Doudrop, for example, you know, you do kind of think to yourself, well, why is this happening?
Why?
So, yeah, I just think this was a match that didn't need to happen and could have quite easily just, been left off the card, and we could have had more time dedicated to some of the other matches, which went quite short. So, yeah,
I'd agree with that, because it is like nobody was asking for this match. And don't be wrong, you've got to put matches on. Like, you got to kind of test the waters, haven't you? So I'm all for having a match of just two random people put together just to see what sort of quality you can get out of them. You know, we used to have this on like almost like, I know we don't really do things the old-fashioned way, but you know, when you'd start to show off and you'd start out with some newer talent or some greener talent, and you'd let them have a match, and you know they could try and get over with the crowd. I know we don't really do that now, but there is still kind of a place for it. But when we've got such a busy card, and like you say, it's at the detriment of other things that people really do want to see, what's the fucking point?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, the biggest point of ire for me isn't the fact that the match happened; it's the fact that
it's fancy words, Carl. There.
Oh, shut up. It's the fact that it's a 3-hour show, and they couldn't find a way to have this match not be, you know, taking time away from something that should have had time. It's a 3-hour show, for fuck's sake.
Indubitably.
But yeah, I concur. So yeah, didn't need to happen. So shite from me.
Indeed. So I'm going to take you back over to NXT for a sec, Carl, if I may. And that is, and I don't know why this bugs me, and this may be just a me thing, let me know. But we had this whole back and forth with Gargano. Apparently he wants the North American title again for some fucking reason. And basically towards the end of the shit show that we had, the steal with his now apparently son-in-law, I think they joked that in Dexter Loomis, he steals North American title from Carmelo, so he doesn't win the fucking thing, he steals it, and basically we're forced into this booking for a haunted house, and it's just like, I don't know, it just felt like a kind of a shit way of getting to the Halloween Havoc gimmicky match. And I just really don't. There's something that bugs me, and we've seen this done before. There's something that kind of bugs me about the whole just stealing someone's title thing. Like, and I can't even remember who did it last time. I remember it happening. So you might be able to help me out there, Carl, where someone just stole someone's title, and that was that. Like, fuck you.
It sounds like some kind of Baron Corbin, Shinsuke, or something. It sounds like he was slighted at some point.
Maybe that's what I remember. It might have been the fucking Crown, you know.
Yeah,
Might have been the Crown. But in any case, I wouldn't have even been too bothered if it was some established people. But Carmelo Hayes has literally just been given this push and been given the North American title, and then apparently they're making him look that much of a bitch that Gargano just takes it, and in disrespect. And it's like, I don't know. I didn't really like that way. I know what to do, and they're getting to Halloween Havoc, and they wanted this haunted house thing, but I don't know. I just didn't really like the whole setup.
Yeah,
may just be a me thing though. Some people may have loved it.
Well, not me. I didn't love it either.
Okay.
I mean, the whole concept of a fucking Halloween haunted house match thing anyway is a bit like, yeah, I know it's a Halloween Havoc
we had one last year.
Yeah. What, Loomis and that? Yeah, that was that good.
Yeah.
So the next shite is unfortunately for SmackDown as well, just because I'm going to beg the question.
NXT.
Yeah, that's what I meant, NXT. Because I'm going to beg the question. Who wants to see LA Knight host Halloween Havoc?
No one.
Not me.
No one ever.
Why does it
has
make
asked for
sense for him to host Halloween Havoc?
It doesn't.
Yeah.
No one has ever asked for. Like,
Exactly.
people have even like gone, "Oh, this would be really good. It's really good for it." It's like, why does LA Knight get so much hype? I've not really seen much come from him that you go, "Oh yeah, he's going to be a great host." Is he even that good a talker? Really?
I mean, not that I've seen. At the end of the day, he looks the part. You know, you think from looking at him that he is going to be a big star, but I haven't seen anything yet of any, nothing noteworthy at all. So,
and I know he's obviously been known before coming to NXT, so maybe that's where a lot of the acclaim's coming from. But people are just so sort of sold on him. Not everyone, but some people are just so sold on him. I'm like, I've yet to see any reason why he should host this. Like, it made sense last year when Shotzi hosted it.
yeah,
Like, a
she
whole
howls
gimmick
and stuff.
fed into it. Like, no, like, taken away from the fact that the howl does bug me. Like, a whole gimmick sort of fed into Halloween Havoc, and I believe she was injured at the time or whichever, so that was kind of why she was hosting anyway. But like, it just made sense. It suited her down to the ground. What's LA Knight going to do with it?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it speaks volumes when he's not injured, as far as I'm aware, or anything like that, and he's still got nothing for you, so you're going to host Halloween Havoc. Really, not setting the world.
Also, by the way,
is
this is a guy who's gone from being in apparently the NXT title scene to this. Like, oh well, that's consistent booking for that guy.
Yeah, makes sense. So that was mine. Oh no, that was yours. Was that yours?
No,
was that mine?
It was yours, but I bitched for a while. My bad. So my one, Carl, and you can feel free to take over this one if you want.
I don't have an image for this. I'm just cycling through. Yeah, no image.
Okay,
so
well, we'll keep you guessing. Put a question.
We're gonna leave you. We're gonna leave you on the Eli Drake for this one.
Cool. So, this might be a bit unfair because again, I really want to enjoy this, and I am made up for Xavier, but it's going in the O'Shea column. It's Xavier Woods' Coronation, sadly. And again, nothing against him. You know, he so deserves it. He really, like I said, I believe it was a childhood dream. Awesome, made up. He got it, but the Coronation was naff. So it's going in the O'Shea column, I'm afraid.
Yeah. And again, just why does he now have to be, known as King Woods or King Xavier or whatever they're going with? Why can't he just be the King of the Ring winner, Xavier the Woods, Xavier the Woods?
But we do know now that apparently you can have a match for that title. So Shinsuke may come for him. I just don't know when he can be King.
I mean, it doesn't even need to be a match, really. He can just take it. They might not even have a match following up. Just take it.
Rick Boogs is coming for him.
Why not? Why the fuck not?
But yeah, like you say, it's a bit like, oh, for fuck's sake, going into a King gimmick. I hated it on Corbin. I hate it on I even hated it on King Booker, and everyone's like, oh, Booker was the last good King of the Ring. I preferred the normal Booker T to King Booker, so I totally disagree.
Yeah,
he may have been a good candidate for King of the Ring, but he shouldn't have had the King gimmick. I think it's fucking stupid.
Yeah, I think we're both agreed that being King of the Ring doesn't mean that you have to be a king with the whole King gimmick. It just means that you won a tournament. That's enough,
I'd be interested to see if we're going to go for a Queen gimmick.
I believe we are, Queen Zelina. So, there you go.
But are we going to stick with it? Because she weren't even allowed to be Queen of the Ring, technically speaking.
Well, that's true. But I think you pointed out that, some kind of Saudi thing and reason why that might have been the case. But yeah, we'll see.
I could have been wrong.
I mean,
My
you usually are.
my awareness of Saudi politics is not great.
That's true. But yeah, so the next one, which we actually have a graphic for, my bad, is Shit Row. Sorry, Hit Row. I don't get it. Am I just old? Am I am I just old? I don't really know.
Yes.
I just think.
I mean, no, like outside of this, yes, you definitely are.
Okay.
Nothing to do with this O'Shea, but yeah, you're old.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. But no, like, I don't get it. I don't get what we're meant to see in this group. It's okay.
I think this is like, this may be an unfair comment, and I'm sure some people love them, so whatever. But I feel like this is what Vince thinks the youth of today is like. I think he thinks it's something cool, but doesn't actually know what cool is. I think that's what this is. I think this is the epitome of that.
Do you know what? I think you could be absolutely right. Probably hit the nail right on the head there. But I mean, the biggest irk that I had with all of this is the fact that they showed load of like little promo packages and stuff for people who'd been drafted over who weren't going to be on the show that night. People like Aaliyah and people like that. And it was like, okay, so you've got these new people that you've just drafted to your show. Cool. But you're going to put on a match with Hit Row and some local talent.
Yep.
And it's like, are you fucking shitting me? Like, you've literally just fucking had to do hype, even for the likes of Sheamus. He's like, yeah, he's a hype package. He's like, everyone else is going, I'm Aaliyah, I'm this guy, I'm this person. And Sheamus is like, you already know who I am. And I fight people. And it's like,
I'm
wow.
Sheamus.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, wow, okay. So even the likes of Sheamus can't get on, but you do Hit Row versus local talent. And again, I think this comes down to they don't want to put him up against someone else that they've recently drafted who hasn't debuted yet because someone will have to lose. Like, why are they so scared? People can lose.
I really don't get why people can't lose anymore.
It's mental.
Like, it's this whole thing. And the internet's sort of partly to blame because the minute somebody loses, they're being buried, which isn't true.
Yeah.
People can suffer a loss. It's fine. It's totally fine. Like, people, like, not to... No, I won't. I won't jump ahead to next week because we haven't seen that yet. But what I find fascinating with Hit Row is, like, it's already a clusterfuck on the main roster. Like, we're hearing noise that they want to split them up because they don't want a faction. They can see, like, the potential tag team talent in there. But I don't know, like, why can't we have them as a faction and just still let them do their own thing? There's no problem with somebody in that group having a solo run or somebody having a tag team run or whatever. It doesn't have to be like, oh, well, this faction can't be anymore. That's all. But the noise is that they might be splitting them all up anyway. Like, I can't remember which one Vince is incredibly sold on at the minute, but I think Vince absolutely loves one of them at the moment, doesn't he?
Who knows? Who the fuck knows?
And then, of course, they've brought them up, and apparently, and it's in our news, so we'll talk about it tomorrow, but apparently Ashanti Adonis can't even wrestle at the minute, so it's like he's just there to be there.
Genius. But yeah, so partly because I'm not a fan of Hit Row, so there is that, but also partly the fact that they couldn't even feature half the talent that they drafted, and instead managed to find time to bring on, like, local independent talent. Cool.
Yeah, I would have loved, and you know what? I don't particularly dislike Hit Row, but I would have loved to have seen them establish more on NXT. We've now got a diamond mine that just has nothing to do. Do you know what I mean? It's like, what's going on here? Like, there were other factions. I know they just come off the Garda del Fantasma stuff, but we had like there's actually not too bad a tag team scene there when you got the Grizzled Young Vets and you got they have broke up Thatcher and Tommaso, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But my point being, there was more for them to do on NXT and establish more before they brought them over, and I think they pulled the trigger a bit too quick. It's not to say they can't evolve on this roster. I just think it's like, why did you need to bring them over so quick just because you saw something in them? So I expect to see Bron Breakker on the main roster very soon because apparently that's what we do now.
Yeah, wouldn't surprise me one bit, but yeah. Oh, shite for me.
He needs an NXT title. Fuck it, just bring him straight to the main roster. Why not?
I agree.
Anyway, my last one, Carl, and I think the last one for WWE. And this one's a doozy. It's the Becky / Charlotte belt exchange. Now, there's a lot of speculation about this. A lot of speculation, and I actually alluded to it before when we mentioned the highlights for the Bianca Charlotte match. And the reason I mentioned that before is because some of the rumors around this whole belt exchange. So, obviously, for those who haven't seen it, and I know we're meant to be breezing through these, but because I'm going to talk about it, for those who haven't seen it, there seems to be some suggestion that Charlotte sort of throwing the title down was not planned. Becky got genuinely pissed off with her, which is why she threw the title at her. And, a lot of people are like, no, it's a work. And a lot of people are like, no, it's a shoot. And then apparently she was escorted off the premise and all sorts of bollocks going on with this belt exchange. The whole thing was a clusterfuck. But by all accounts, Charlotte actually wanted to lose the title to Bianca clean on Raw, which actually would have been so much better. So that again, even that's a fuck up in itself. So I'll allude back to that. But this was definitely an shite. The whole thing was awkward and did not work. And I don't know if you've seen it, but the internet's just full of this whole stereotype of men and women now. Have you seen it? Because you had New Day and the Street Profits just swapping titles amicably, like, oh yeah, cool, yeah, all getting along. And then when you get two women trying to exchange something, it just turns into a fucking absolute awkward bitch fight. And it's like, yeah, that probably didn't help. But fuck it, we're having fun with memes now, so that's good.
Yeah. I think for me, the whole segment didn't need to happen. Why make such a big fucking deal of it? I don't know what the original thing was meant to achieve other than try and make Becky look strong or some kind of big deal.
Because there's a thing with this, right? Because I can't even gather what they were going for in that either, because a lot of people are suggesting that Becky was meant to take both belts and, nod back to Becky 2 belts, which obviously would have made Charlotte look stupid giving her the belt and not getting the other one back, right? And that's where Charlotte's gone off book and thrown the belt down. But then if Charlotte truly went off book by doing that, why didn't Sonya pass Becky the belt? Because even Sonya refused to give Becky the second belt. You know what I mean? So you go, well, was it a plan? I really don't know what they were actually going for, and now it's clouded with all this. Was any of this like a shoot, or was it all a work? And I think when you can't really tell what story they were trying to tell there, it's probably not a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be talked about in the Ringside Report, at length. But I think you've got to kind of feel for Sonya in this situation as well. She's obviously a lot less experienced in front of the cameras than these two. And this is kind of exploding in front of her, and she doesn't really know what to do.
What do I do?
You know what I mean? So, to your point, it's she probably could have just picked it up and give it to Becky, and then had the 2 belts thing. But I think she was almost getting pissed off with Charlotte by the sounds of it. She just told her to pick it up. You know what I mean? Pick up the belt, and then because you could see it kind of all unfolding in hindsight if you watch it back. So,
I kind of want Sonya should have just took both of them and fucking ran.
Yeah, well, yeah. Literally should have just sparked both of them out and just went, yeah, my show now. But yeah.
So
I agree.
It was a clusterfuck anyway.
It was a massive clusterfuck.
Even when you take away from the stuff we're going to talk about in the news, did it need to be a segment? No, it didn't.
No.
It did not need to be a part of the show.
Literally have them rock up with the belts.
fact that your class championships is interchangeable is ridiculous anyway.
Yeah. And I get it, it's the Raw Women's title and the SmackDown Women's title, so, they've now swapped shows. But I feel like this isn't the first time it's happened either. It happens way more than it should. So it should just be, by proxy, you swap shows, therefore you get the other belts. That's it. We don't need to see this play out and make it into a big thing.
With having show-specific belts, to be honest, this is the problem. You don't need to, they didn't do it with the Universal title. The Universal title just came over to SmackDown and they changed the colour of the belt because it's called the Universal title. You know what I mean? They have to do it with the tag titles because they're colour specific. And if you look at it, if the US champ and the Intercontinental champ change shows, they wouldn't make them exchange belts because it doesn't fucking matter because it's a championship in its own right. Whereas with the women's title, it's no, we're gonna have to do an exchange because it's awkward. Yeah, and that's kind of the problem.
No, you're right. It is an interesting point. I think
why don't they have a universal woman and a world woman?
Well,
just like they have with the men.
Just 2 women, not like a universal women's.
I feel like
title.
I just made kind of a boring.
Just universal woman.
It's universal woman.
Hi, I'm just like all of you.
No, you have the universal title and the. I keep saying world. I think it's WWE title technically. Apologies for not knowing, guys. So
It's
why
like
can't
not
you
like
do
you
the
host a
same?
wrestling podcast or anything, for Christ's sake.
Come on, has anyone genuinely kept track of the other one? It might be the WWE title, it might be the World. It used to be the Unified. It has been the Big Gold. It has been the other one. Like, whatever happened to the? I'm just here like an old man. Like, what happened to the Winged Eagle belt?
I remember when John Cena was the other one champion.
Why doesn't it spin anymore? That's all I'm sat here doing.
But anyway, before we go off on even more of a tangent, that was WWE this week. Anthony, what score are you giving it?
1.5.
Damn.
There was not a lot I liked this week, I'll be honest. Like, even the stuff that was okay was just okay. It was kind of like, if I didn't watch it, I would not have been bothered. And that shouldn't be the case. So I'm going to be fairly savage and give it 1.5.
Savage indeed. I'm going to give it a 2. And I think the reason why is the first half an hour of SmackDown. I can't remember the last time I was so fucking...
I'll give you that. That was really good. That's probably where the 1.5's coming from for me, if I'm honest.
Yeah, like legit. I can't remember the last time I watched any WWE program and was just like, holy shit for at least like half an hour, like constant. Just like, this is amazing. So fair play. They did that part excellently. The rest of SmackDown sucked. Raw was very bland, and NXT was very bland as well. So
was bullshit.
so that was WWE. Anthony, you've got the first one talking about AEW this week.
Okay, let's
well.
hop over to AEW then, Carl, if we could. And you know what? I think you'll totally agree with me on this. I hope you do. And that is the fact that we saw Britt Baker going up against Anna Jay. Not only was it a good match, isn't it really nice to see too AEW originals putting on a good match together? Like, and I don't want to get into all this. Oh, XWB talent and all that bollocks. Like, I don't really care. People are going to work, but it's nice to see people like these two starting out in AEW at the very beginning and just seeing, like, I don't know, almost reminding me of sort of how far they've come. Yeah. You know what I mean? So not only was it a good match, but I think it was really enjoyable to see it being these two in particular.
I agree. I think Britt has been a fantastic role model for the women. Hey. I think she has become a megastar in her own right due to her own hard work and what she's achieved over the last couple of years. The likes of Anna Jay was someone who was very, very green to the business. Who, we first saw her in AEW as some kind of magician gimmick, and then the next minute she was part of the Dark Order.
She made that gimmick disappear.
Then she was kind of part of the Dark Order. We've kind of seen her come out of a shell a little bit as part of the like the YouTube stuff that they do and things like that. And then obviously she's been out injured for a bit, and then she's come back, and it's nice to see she's been given that opportunity to get in there and put on a decent match. And I think honestly the pair of them brought it. I thought it was really good, and it was a great showing from both. And to your point, they are AEW originals, so it's nice to see them kind of...
shit, that's another TV show coming. Don't mention it to Cody.
Yeah. So yeah, I will agree. I thought that was great. Another highlight, Anthony, I've got for you is Andrade El Idolo versus Pac 2. Damn. These two, man. They're fucking wow. Awesome match. I don't think it's possible for these two to put on a bad match.
Of Andrade yet, like match-wise, but couldn't agree more. Absolutely stellar work from these two.
I mean, obviously it's easy to, when you've got a dance partner like Pac. But yeah, like legit, Andrade has been fantastic every time we've seen him, even though not as frequently as we might have expected at this point in time. But yeah, this match was fantastic, just like the first one they had. And a somewhat unexpected finish as well. I was not expecting Pac to get the victory out of this. But then for the weird kind of fade to black and like what's going on, and then for Malachi Black to be there somehow or for some reason partnering up a little bit with Andrade, ends up taking out Pac. That's also super exciting for me to see Pac versus Malachi. I think that's something.
Oh yeah, no, it's definitely one that we want. The question is, are you going to back Pac?
I always back Pac. Always back the bastard Pac. Fellow Brit, mad Geordie bastard that he is. How can you not? I think Pac is a fucking bona fide star. He is built like a brick shit house and is a ridiculously talented, high-flying individual. So, ironic because we're going to do a segment about future world champions. He's not on it, but I was going to say I can see him as a future world champ. But yeah, great showing again by the pair of these, and also exciting in terms of where the feud is headed and the relationship with Malachi and Andrade. What does that mean going forward as well? So, yeah, good highlight from me.
Indeed. Well, Carl, my next one, I think it's interesting that we're not only do we have a bona fide dentist on AEW, we have 2 vets as well.
Hey.
Anyway, my next one, Carl. Sorry,
You're loving yourself
jokes
for that. I
today.
could tell.
I've been drinking, so dad jokes they're in abundance. I thought of it, to be honest, while you were rambling about whatever you said about Pac. I totally didn't know.
Oh yeah, I
I'm
know
kidding,
for a fact. I know for a fact you don't listen to anything I say. You're looking at your next thing and you're going, "How can I be really funny?" But that one worked. I'll give you that.
It never works. Anyway, sorry. The next one for me, Carl, is Bryan Danielson going up against Dustin Rhodes. Now, I don't know how you felt before this, but I actually wasn't expecting to like this as much as I did. And there's no disrespect to the two. It's just not a pairing I ever really made. Do you know what I mean? But they're both fantastic in the ring, and I think this is where it almost surprised me, to be honest. And so it was a fantastic match and a great opening to the show, if I'm honest with you as well. So I feel like I may have underrated it, so I might be overhyping it now, but I'd be interested in your feelings on it, Carl, because I think it surprised me a little bit, to be honest.
I mean, typical of any AEW show, they always open it with a banger. So I think this one opening it, I was kind of like, okay, let's see what happens. But yeah, as you said, 2 vets, lol. Yeah, absolutely delivered, the pair of them. Dustin Rhodes he is a fucking legend. He's been in the game for so long, and the fact he's got the longevity he's had is immense. But also, obviously, bringing Bryan Danielson in and having them 2 square off in a match I never knew that I wanted, similar to you. It was good. It really delivered. It was hard hitting. It was methodical but fast paced at the same time. So. Yeah, I thought it was a great opening to the show.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I think that's the thing, because that's the bits I never really considered until you start watching them. Like they're both very technical in the ring as well. And they're things that I probably didn't. I never really put them together, but I really should have.
Yeah,
fantastic it was.
It was indeed. Speaking of fantastic, Anthony, MJF, man, he is fucking phenomenal.
It's time for Carl's weekly MJF.
I love him. Mark out Jacob Friedman. Get it on a t-shirt. I love him. He's fantastic, man. This is right. I think it's fair to say that he massively impressed us many months ago. When we were first getting the proper introductions to MJF and the kind of heel character he was. He's been on a bit of an interesting journey, hasn't he? Where whether it's part of the Inner Circle or the stuff he's been doing, he hasn't really been able to showcase himself as the biggest heel in the wrestling world. And I feel like he's proper coming back into form, over the last couple of weeks. This was up there with some of the best stuff he's ever done. It was top tier heel. Just his whole demeanor, the way he kind of cut the promo in the first place, the brutal beat down that happened to Sting, the way he just looked like a bona fide main event heel star. And I just, it's this kind of work that he does where you think, this guy, he is going to be huge. He genuinely is. So I thought it was fantastic. 100% loved it. Yeah. Mark Jacob Friedman.
You're gonna meet MJF at some point? Have we got him listed?
We are going to meet MJF, yes.
So I feel like you've got a bit of a low key sort of kink isn't the right word, but I feel like you really want him to insult you.
Oh, I'd love it. Yeah.
Some sort of almost fetish for you. You'll meet him and be like, "Can you please just tear into me for 2 minutes, please?"
I mean,
I feel like that's what you want.
It's not going to be the most difficult challenge for him, let's be honest. But fuck it, I'm here for that. I'm hoping he does. By all belief, whenever he makes any kind of public appearance, he does it fully in his MJF character. So I can't wait. For him to rip the pod.
Character, so I think you're quite right.
Yeah. So yeah, but yeah, genuinely couldn't say better things about the guy. I think he is a future superstar. Well, he already is, but he's a future fucking megastar. So yeah,
he's a present megastar and a future megastar. So says Carl.
Yeah, that's the one.
Love it. So my next one, Carl. We're going to mention P Ford and Ruby Soho.
Mm-hmm.
And again, just really good work between the two of them in general. And again, we've said it so many times. I feel like I'm probably being a bit repetitive now, but I need to say it again. Penelope Ford, man, she just keeps displaying that she is fantastic in the ring, and I feel like this is so like puzzling to me why she wasn't like displayed as a solo star in the initial run for AEW, especially when they needed women. But hey, that's not a criticism. It's fantastic, and we're getting to see it more and more now. And just always good match to watch.
Yeah. Again, similar to MJF, I can't speak highly enough of Penelope Ford. I think she has improved leaps and bounds versus when we first saw her. And just continues to get better each and every week. I think she continues to deliver just some really unique and like fun spots in a match. Like it's getting to the point now. Every time there's a Penelope Ford match, I'm eagerly waiting to see what she's going to do because she pulls off some just mad shit, and it's always super entertaining. But yeah, I think it's great to have her featured a lot. I don't know why she wasn't featured. I think it might have just been something less to do with her being injured or like a lack of room or something. I think she might have actually been studying for a degree or something like that, which is why we didn't get to see her feature that often. But
what's she got a degree in?
I don't know, thugonomics. But
there's so many people who just got like, and it's not a bad thing, but there's so many people who just got outside things going on.
Oh yeah,
we got like the dentist, and we got Penelope Ford's got a degree in something. We got Jericho.
People
doing
like
his
to
band,
be busy.
I'm like, this honestly, it's actually really good to see because like at some point people have to leave the business, and it's always been one of them things, isn't it, where you go, that's all they know kind of thing. Whereas now I feel like there's so many people, like, not to digress, there's so many people you're like, God, you were prepared for life outside of wrestling. That's kind of good.
Yes, it is good. But I also want to like highlight as well that as impressed as I am with Penelope Ford, I think you've got to give a lot of props to Ruby Soho as well. I think she's the perfect dance partner for someone like Penelope who is still honing her craft and coming up into the biz. And Ruby was fantastic. She, super delivered in all the spots that they did. Obviously ended up picking up the win, but made Penelope look fantastic, while doing so as well. So all in all, I agree. Great highlight for the week. The next one, another promo one from me. So Moxley again. He's been a little bit hit and miss for me from a promo standpoint, but this was for me back to one of his best. He went on to kind of say that he doesn't really care about wrestling anymore, doesn't care about the demo, doesn't care about Twitter, none of that shit. He cares about his new daughter. The fact is, it'd be easier if his job was like a mailman, but at the end of the day, this is what he does. He needs to come home with his teeth still in his head still on his shoulders. So in this title eliminator that he's going to go in, it's like going into a dark alley, and at the end of the day, he's the one coming out of it. So, simple, strong message, clear, to the point, personal to him, obviously, with becoming a father and what he's been through, and obviously, tugs on our heartstrings as well. But
a little bit contradictory, like he's saying it, but then he's going into death matches.
Yeah. Anyway, there is that. No, I mean, it's a very valid point, to be fair. But yeah, it's an interesting one with Moxley because since he lost the belt, he's kind of been going on his like Moxley, dream tour, hasn't he? Like he's literally done all the things he could want to do. He's had his thing with Kingston. He's had his things with Archer. He's had his thing with all of fucking Japan. He's had his thing with death matches and stuff like that. So, I don't know what's going to happen in terms of this title eliminator tournament. But yeah, you'd like to think he is one of the front runners, and he should be trying to get himself back into kind of, main event scene contention soon, because that's where he belongs.
If he goes into that main event contention, soon enough, then he'll be going up against Hangman Adam Page,
which is something which would feel
gonna win.
Fresh, and we want to see that. So, but yeah, great from Moxley this week, I thought.
Agreed. And I'm almost loath to do this one, Carl. Almost loath to do it, so you might have to take over. But the last highlight is Malachi Black versus Cody. Number 3.
I love that this one landed on you. Let's talk about it as a highlight.
Motherfucker. So, yeah, it was a good match. Okay, look, I'm going to be honest, right? I'm not going to try and argue against this match. It was a fantastic match. These two have worked really well together. I will give it that, and it deserves to be a highlight. I'm not sold on the finish, which is why I'm a little bit loath to call this a highlight. I can't call it a bad match by any means. I'm not too happy with the finish, and I don't know how you feel about it, Carl. And I'll pass the mic right on over to you.
So,
but,
by the finish,
that's
you mean
my issue with it.
You mean the fact that Cody won?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. That's
Um,
exactly what I mean.
So I mean, this is the third match between them. First match, Alistair basically whooped his ass in like fucking 30 seconds. Second match, he again pretty much definitively kicked the shit out of him. Now, I don't think it's been executed super well, the whole Glock thing and, trying to turn Cody into being able to...
Cody trying to find his inner Cody.
Well, exactly. It hasn't been
This is like
executed
a
great.
shit version of trying to bring back the rattlesnake in WWE.
Sort of, yeah. I want the real Cody. Just comes out where...
I want the guitar strumming, cowboy hat wearing Cody that we've come to know.
Comes out as Stardust. It's like, what? But no, like, genuinely, this is the longest match they've had. It was the most brutal. And from a match standpoint, I get your point about the finish. Was it the right call? I don't know, but I don't think Malachi has suffered as a result of this. He's already beat Cody definitively twice.
I can't join the toxic social media thing of going, they buried him, because they haven't. Like you say, he's definitely not suffered from taking a loss. It just annoys me that it's like he beat him so decisively twice, and yet Cody found his inner Cody again and managed to pull out the victory. And the fact, not even the fact that he got a win, but it's 2-1, and Cody's acting like he's done something. Whole fucking thing pissed me. No, look, I'm gonna stop ranting. It's a highlight.
I mean, for me, someone who follows MMA as well, like I've seen my fair share of trilogy fights, and typically they don't necessarily happen often unless it's a 1-1 and it's like a decider, but it has happened where it's been 2-0 to somebody and then eventually someone ends up getting it to 2-1, but it kind of shows that they've learned and grown and effectively being able to meet change their game plan enough to pull out the victory eventually. So that's the way I'm looking at this. I don't think Malachi has suffered. It's not like, oh, he's buried, he's never going to recover from this. He's taken a loss.
I wouldn't even go as far myself. As much as I'm not a fan, I wouldn't go as far myself as saying that it's affected Malachi's run at all. It's just Cody. I'm just like, the fuck are you celebrating for?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, Malachi's taken a loss, and I think he's taken to Twitter and everything like that as well, and gone like, the whole point of everything he's been doing so far isn't about who wins and loses. He's planted the seeds or whatever into Cody. He's basically taking credit for the change to Cody and all that kind of stuff. So, if you look into it properly, it does sort of make sense. But yeah, regardless, the match itself was entertaining. The other month
when he dyed his fucking hair, he hasn't changed.
It's fucking savage. You really are. You're the reason we never get Cody on the show.
Had Dark Cody.
You're the reason.
Being good again.
You're the reason we can't get Cody. You're the reason a certain member of the AWPR team doesn't like us very much. I'm not the
reason we can't get Cody. I don't want Cody. No, I'm kidding.
But you are the reason that a certain person doesn't like
Baby.
But no. So yeah, no, I get your point through gritted teeth, obviously, in terms of the actual outcome of the match. But, the match itself, the best one they put on together so far, it told a good story between the two of them. And it was, the most brutal match they've had as well. So, yeah, all in all, I thought it was... It
was a really... It has to be a highlight because it was a quality match.
Yeah, I agree. Which then takes us on to the O'Shites. I'm keen to get your thoughts on this. Leo Rush, as a manager guy, feels a little bit too much like Big Money Matt. I just don't get... I don't get him. At the end of the day, they brought him in. I thought they were going to bring him in as a wrestler, but he's now trying to build this stable of people. He's trying to recruit people, and you've just had Big Money Matt do that literally months ago.
Like MVP, then.
Yeah.
Rock up and be like, I'm trying to make a stable. Okay.
Yeah.
I was all for. I've never been a big Leo fan. Like mostly because I didn't really know his running NXT. I didn't know much of him, and then you just got all this controversy around the alleged disrespect to legends. I know that caused a whole big thing of like, well, legends shouldn't be expecting people to carry the bags and shit like that. Whatever. I know we all had all that issue with Mark Henry anyway. But I was made up to see him have one more match, right? And I was like, cool, he gets to go out on his own terms. He has that sort of retirement match, if you will. And then obviously we've signed Leo Rush. Okay, sure. Let's see what he can do. And like you say, now we're getting this whole manager thing, and I think I think the connection to Big Money Matt is probably the like a really accurate one. But and I'm not a fan of Big Money Matt when I say this, but I think Big Money Matt only kind of works because we know Matt. Like he is a veteran and a legend in the business. Leo isn't. Leo's just some guy.
No.
Like, no offense to him, like, but he's not well established in wrestling enough to be in a managerial role as far as I'm concerned. It's like, but who are you? Just some bloke who's turned up and gone, I'm making a stable. Like,
who are you, lad? Who are you?
Who are you?
I mean, it doesn't help.
I'm trying not to sound disrespectful because I know that he was a popular wrestler and I know he knows what he's doing. It just doesn't. It doesn't really suit Matt Hardy, but at least you can go, well, he's got the status and the legend status that when he's putting a stable together, you go, well, people are going, well, that's Matt Hardy. Of course, I'm going to join his stable. Like, the Leo Rush thing works a little less because of that for me.
Yeah. No, I think you're absolutely right. It doesn't make sense in the slightest why he's doing what he's doing. It doesn't help as well that I'm a massive Dante Martin fanboy, so I hate the fact that he's aligned himself with him. So, basically, not a fan. Not a fan at all.
Yeah. I mean, did Dante really need it?
True. Not at all, really.
That's some of the issues, isn't it? Like you say, you're a fanboy, and it's like, well, he was doing fine, so what's this about?
Who knows? Who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah.
Right, so my next one, Carl, and the only other one, if I'm honest, and this one I don't really want to call. I don't want to come at it in the same way that a lot of people have and been like, "This is unsafe, AEW, horrible," blah, 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 like they tend to do. But Lance Archer, decent little match we were having there, but that injury, I've seen the video a few times, just didn't quite land, did he? Just didn't quite land. That looked painful, and. It has to be no shite because it sort of ended what was a really good match quite abruptly, understandably, right? But yeah, I mean, hopefully he hasn't. I haven't actually heard anything since as to whether he's even particularly badly injured, but I just hope it's not been too bad because I've seen it a few times and he did seem to, because it was correct me if I got the move wrong, Carl, but it was a moonsault.
It was moonsault. Yep.
Mm-hmm. I was on the verge. I think I've said the wrong thing there, but I feel like he managed to get round enough. Like he obviously hurt his neck a little bit, but I'm hoping it hasn't been too bad. But this isn't like Brock Lesnar trying to do a 450 splash. You know what I'm saying? Shooting star press. Sorry. I think he landed it a little bit closer to the mark, but he has clearly sort of not landed it proper and hurt himself. And I don't know if you've heard anything on it, but I haven't heard that he's like badly injured from it. So hopefully he's not.
No, I've not had any kind of massive updates on it, which could either be good or bad news, I suppose. But yeah, ultimately he landed effectively on his head. So I guess it's things like concussion issues or neck injury or something which, needs to be diagnosed with it. But as he said himself on Twitter, it's no kind of fault of anybody. He's done that move, thousands of times, and he just under-rotated on that one. So unfortunately, it was just.
I'm curious how you feel because I saw something earlier today, and again, this isn't a directed at AEW thing as much people like to talk about them being unsafe, and it was almost against big guys doing cruiserweight stuff, saying that even if you can pull it off, it is not safe to do. Like they likened it to like back in the day when Undertaker had like come flying over the top rope, and they're like the responsibility is on everyone else to catch them, and they're fucking huge. And it shouldn't be something that you do in professional wrestling. How do you feel about that? Because I found that's a very unusual and interesting take for me. And I'd love to credit the person, but I can't remember who it was. I just found it fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, something like a moonsault, no, because there's not really much that anyone needs to do other than just...
Yeah, if you can land it, you can land it, innit?
Yeah, for something like a dive, maybe, but at the same time, it's the wrestling business. I'm sure they're professional enough to be able to take it, otherwise they wouldn't do the move. So, yeah, I disagree with that.
Cool.
Altogether, really.
I mean, at the end of the day, we're watching people hit each other with light tubes and stuff like that. It's not really the biggest problem.
There you
go. I was just curious how you felt about it because it kind of makes sense what they're saying, but like you say, if everyone's agreed to the spot, then they've agreed to the spot, haven't they?
Yeah, I mean, essentially, does it carry marginally more risk? Probably, but I don't think that's a reason for them not to. At the end of the day, they're athletes. They can either do the move or they can't. If it's someone who's attempting it who can't do it, fair dues, don't do it. If they can do it, then why tell them they can't just because they're big?
And it's not like they've gone to like, hey, Rey Mysterio, Mark Henry's going to come over the top rope in a sec. You have to catch him. It's not like they're doing that. You know what I mean?
Well, exactly. So yeah, disagree with all of that. But yeah, Anthony, that was AEW this week. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. I thought it was pretty decent all round for me. How about you?
I'm going to give it 2.5 just because I want to disagree with you.
Okay, that's fair. Well, I'll allow it. And also, before we wrap up, let's look at what else happened this week in the other promotions. And it's pretty much Bound for Glory focused. So Jordan Grace on the pre-show won the intergender match to become the first digital media champion. So big congrats to her. I know we're big fans on the show.
Yeah.
So
like she's like super talented. To be fair, like I'm curious to see. I don't want to be one of these guys like, what's she going to do outside of Impact? Because she signed like a multi-year deal, as I understand it. But when you go like, I wonder what would be next for her, because she's like she's got tons of potential, hasn't she? And all due respect to Impact, it's one of the smaller shows these days. So
yeah, no, I think it's a good point. It remains to be seen in terms of what she does end up going on to do. But yeah, massive amount of talent, and obviously a nice accolade to pick up as being the first digital media champ. Next, we had the debuting Inspiration, who joined Impact Wrestling and happened to pick up the tag team titles on their debut.
Yeah,
as
straight to the point. I'm
So-
curious. Do you feel like WWE are going to be upset with the like how close to infringing on the Iconics was that?
Well, I mean,
That there was the same. They just changed the word. It was the same stance enough from really on it. I'm just curious. Like, can they come at them for that? Maybe, I don't know. Are they even going to bother?
can you copyright a pose? I don't know. I think
If anyone's going to try,
yeah, if anyone's going to try and come after them, definitely WWE. But yeah, so big congratulations to the debuting Inspiration on
Indeed.
becoming
Made up to see them back.
tag team champs.
As they should
Another
be,
huge
rightfully so.
congratulations to friend of our show, which now makes her a 4-time knockout champion,
4 times.
Carl. As we know, anyone who has watched the interview we did, were gracious enough to do. I keep saying that. I used the word wrong. That Mickey was gracious enough to do with us for our show.
Let's face it, everyone was gracious. We're all gracious. It's fine.
Yeah. Fuck it. Yeah. Why not? But yeah, Mickey, made up for it. She is now a 4-time knockouts champion.
Nearly getting to Booker T numbers.
But no, honestly made up for her. She's an absolute
Oh, yeah.
sweetheart. She's done so much for women's wrestling, and obviously she's been screwed over way more than she ever should have been by any company. So lovely to see her getting the respect that she deserves and a championship.
And I think, and not in a bad way when I say this, I think this is going to come back around. I think we're going to see, after some time, after some defences and after a bit of a run, I think we're going to see Deonna and Mickie James go up against each other again. And I think that'll sort of seal Deonna's sort of legitimacy is probably not the right word because she's fairly well established at this point, but being able to topple Mickie James down the line, which I do think is where they're going to go, I think that's going to be absolutely fantastic for Deonna as well.
Yeah, 1,000,000% agree. This is obviously some kind of long-term thing. There's no denying that they're expecting. I mean, they're not expecting Mickie to be running the women's division for years to come. I think they're using this. Obviously, she was hardcore country. It's where she's achieved a lot of success with the business. So I think it is going to be interesting, but ultimately will, to your point, end up in Deonna being able to reclaim the belt at some point and getting that victory over Mickie as well to really cement her in the great work she's been doing over the years.
Indeed.
And the last one, so this was absolutely trippy, man. So the main event,
Gosh, chaos, absolute chaos. This
main event, we got to see Christian Cage defend the Impact title against Josh Alexander, who was successful in beating Christian to become the new champion, first time champ. But earlier in the night, Moose won a match which was a call your shot stipulation, similar to Money in the Bank, and he happened to cash that shot in on the very same night. So as soon as Josh Alexander won his belt, he lost it pretty much immediately after to Moose. So 2 first-time world champions created on the one show. So absolute insanity. A lot of people were made up for Josh, also made up for Moose, very conflicted by the whole thing. And all in all,
people, again, I suppose it falls down to who you're a big fan of, but I know some people weren't happy with the whole Moose situation, but
yeah,
can't deny it was shocking.
Absolutely. I think all in all, a fantastic show put on by Impact. I think one of the best that they've put on in a long, long time. So I think, as we'll discuss in the news, there was a couple of more surprises they may have had planned for the show as well, which could have tipped it over even more. But yeah, all in all, you know, a lot of titles changing hands, a lot of, you know, great results and a lot of surprises to boot as well. So, yeah, all in all, fantastic from Impact this week.
Indeed.
And that, Anthony, was This Week in Wrestling.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was. So, as we said, we are going to be talking all the latest news and rumours in the Ringside Report. Some pretty juicy topics to cover this week. And also in this week's unique segment, we are going to be doing 10 future world champions. So we're going to be giving our take on who we think is destined for greatness. So feel free to check that out and disagree with us or let us know that we are always right. But until then, we will be back after a lovely message from the one and only AEW's Thunder Rosa.
Hey everybody, this is Thunder Rosa and you're watching or listening A2theK. A2theK.
A to the K.